off for it or not, but I'm still here. In the meanwhile, Cliff High from Half Past Human, George, you're from Urban Survival, and on the line we've got a call. John, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, glad for giving us a call this evening, and
your name.
What would you like to ask these guys?
Let's see, your name is Barbara.
Yes.
There's a lady named Barbara. That's
Yep.
That's my mother's name.
Oh, well, it's a great name.
Yes, ma'am. And Cliff.
Yes, sir.
There's a Cliff there, and then there's who else?
Scott,
George.
Scott and George.
George.
Scott. Hold on, you guys. This is great. I love you. This is a nice show, you guys. This is cool. I got my.
Thank you.
I did get my tetanus shot. That's very important. I don't know if it's got stuff in it or not, but I stepped on a nail one time, and you could see the veins, the blood turning red, going up through the little veins in my feet. It was terrible. Anyway, that would be a good thing.
And listen to Dr. Rebecca Carley, what she'll have to say about that.
I'm going to say that. With global warming, you guys were talking about a lot of stuff. You guys are really smart. And
we have our moments.
I've been studying the magnetic, of all things. I'm kind of like a magnetic junkie kind of weirdo, but I study the kind of magnetic things going on. I see the magnetic shift. I do. I see it. I notice it. I hang magnets.
How did you notice it?
I've been noticing it from like years. I've just been fascinated with magnets, even from a young child. But I take magnets, I hang them from my ceiling on a string, every once in a while just to check it out. But this one guy turned me on years ago to this magazine, Scientific America, and I was listening to him talk about it. But he gave me this magazine, and it had stuff about, like sunspots, for instance. Like now we don't see very many of them.
Okay.
That has an effect. It does affect
right, it's
us.
quieting right now.
I think that's more of a major aspect to what we're dealing with here as far as, like like if you live around the coastline, I lived around the coastline growing up, things die because of runoff. Okay, but that's not what's really going on magnetically and huge, like the oceans are heating up. How could that be like cows pooping, somewhere?
Bovine methane.
Methane issue.
Mars, the ice caps, cows pooping on Mars. There ain't no cows pooping on Mars. Okay.
Well, we know that.
Figured out.
But not that they've shown us.
Something might be, but
they may be underground on Mars.
Yeah.
Something. But really, I appreciate everything you guys got to say.
As I understand it, the situation that we've got facing the planet is, of course, pan-solar system. It's on all of the planets in our solar system. It's affecting the sun. And really what it comes down to is that next to the middle of our galaxy, at the time that the Milky Way galaxy, which is soon to be our galaxy, we're not really officially part of it. We've just sort of been captured from what used to be our home galaxy, which is Sagittarius B. Our whole solar system got sucked from Sagittarius B and is in the process of joining into the Milky Way. And in the process, we go up and down in this merry-go-round fashion around the edge of the Milky Way as we finally decide which of these arms, the spiral arms of the Milky Way, we're going to settle in. And so it takes us like 35,000 years, for instance, to travel the gap between one set of arms and another, and we're completing all these cycles at the moment, but they all come down to that center ecliptic magnetic band. And what initially happened was, according to the theory, is that there was this little tiny black hole in the beginning of the Milky Way that grew and grew and grew until it got to be about 4,000 or 5,000 light years across, and it was so large as a sphere that the top and the bottom of the sphere sort of separated like a bubble might just before it was going to pop in an atmosphere. But then this collapsed down to this huge magnetic ribbon. And I think that John is correct that the magnetics, and really we ought to ask George about the magnets down the copper tube and the timing issues there, because I think John would be interested. But I think the magnetics are what's happening is what we're calling the big squeeze, that as we go through this 20-year band, we're about to peak on December 21, 2012. We'll reach the middle of that band. This giant magnet squeezes the solar system and squeezes the heliosphere and the magnetosphere and all of the planet. And obviously, if you're looking at, say, applying a big squeeze onto something like, say a cue ball or a golf ball or something, the solid sort of a ball, then something's got to give. It's got to heat up somewhere because there's going to be force and friction applied to it, and that's kind of what's happening with our planet. And that's why the oceans are heating up from the bottom, and the circulation is getting all wonky, and the glaciers are melting, and it has nothing to do with the number of SUVs or any of that, and you can actually make a case that a single space shuttle launch is the equivalent of 500,000 cars sitting idling for half a year, just in the amount of pollution that a single space shuttle launch puts out there. So if we were really serious about it, we'd stop shooting stuff off into space. And it does not make sense that it's humans. It's magnetics all the way through.
Can I say one more thing, gentlemen? The Earth is like, we're not even round, right? We're like just a rock.
We're an ovoid, correct.
Yeah, and if some of that water shifts around, and if like any kind of that magnetic stuff shifts around, there's already scientific evidence. If you see the upheavals through the massive Earth changes that we've already experienced, time can happen immediately. I have found bones and things like, you just wouldn't, like this wouldn't be a place where you'd find fossils, but lakes were there now, and I'm just saying global things can happen quickly. Everybody, the people who survive are the ones that are just either lucky or had some sort of survival mechanism.
It's personal karma. That's why I get a lot of questions frequently in email. Where's a good place to live? Where is it safe, and so on. And I want to point out to people, I'd like to tell you that it's safe to go to Carson City, Nevada, and you might take your brother with you, and it'd be perfectly safe for him, but you might get hit by a truck.
Amen.
Well, think about this. We've got the salt. You go to the middle of the Great Basin. We've got the Great Salt Lake. That salt water had to come from the Pacific or the Atlantic. Yeah, and so that's a big splash to have that kind of water settling in. Yeah, and fossils and an old water line with Lake Bonneville. And if the planet is absorbing extra solar energies, then that makes sense that the lithosphere, the crust of the planet, is warming. Well, and then if the planet is warming from below, then that is lubricating these ice sheets in Greenland.
Yeah,
and
I'd be kind of concerned about coastal living. You're going to see a bunch of articles that are going to collapse. They'll stop doing them sometime in, say, late June or so, but you're going to see a bunch of articles come on out where they're going to try and convince us that the Antarctic ice sheet is growing, as is the Greenland ice sheet. And they're going to cite certain statistics that are probably true, but they're inaccurate in the sense that, the surface area may be growing, but the mass is shrinking, and so it's becoming much more brittle. And we think that's part of our global coastal phenomena, that we're going to see some major ice shifts. We're already seeing reports that if they're getting scrubbed off the internet as rapidly as the powers that be can find them, about shifting water levels, islands disappearing, strange freaky waves eating restaurants that used to be on a nice little seashore, and now it's underwater.
Yeah. Wow. When we come back after the break, I want to get into kind of what you mentioned in the last segment, in the last report, which is war. And
we've got another call too.
I really, all right. So when we come back from the break with George and Cliff, thanks for listening to America Now. Back after the break.
Millions of Americans are beginning to realize the enormity of the economic and political problems facing the U.S. and the world. And for the first time in their lives, they are feeling the need for preparedness. Ready Reserve Foods has been in continuous operation, manufacturing the finest and dehydrated foods for almost 40 years. Ready Reserve is the manufacturer. Unlike other companies that just broker canned foods, Ready Reserve controls the quality from start to finish with double enameled cans and nitrogen packaging. When purchasing from Ready Reserve Foods, you are buying factory direct at wholesale prices. Other companies are quoting delivery times of 1 to 2 months, while Ready Reserve ships within 5 business days. Many companies do not even offer a catalog. We will be more than happy to send a catalog to you free of charge. Dial 1-800-453-2202, 1-800-453-2202, or visit our website at ReadyReserveFoods.com. Factory direct, wholesale pricing from Ready Reserve Foods. Call us at 1-800-453-2202.
If you owe the IRS, you can't make the problem go away without professional help. But with the help of Dan Pilla, you can get your problem solved.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla, and I've been solving tax debt problems for 30 years, and I can help you too. We can stabilize IRS collection action and get your tax debt reduced, sometimes completely eliminated. And if you received a 1099 from a bank because of mortgage or other debt forgiveness, the vast majority of the time, I can show you how to completely erase it so you pay no tax